My name is Doris Baker, and I live here in Virginia Beach, not too far down the road. I've been Rosie the Riviter here at the museum for about 3 years now. And how did I become Rosie the Riviter? I don't know. There was a newsletter came out saying that the museum was looking for someone to be a Rosie. So I said, well, that sounds like a fun thing to do. So I tried it up here, and they said, yes, you'll do. So I've been here ever since, and I love being here. Anyone who comes to this museum absolutely loves it, and they go away with great feelings. So it's just a great place to be. That's all I can say about it. You'll enjoy it if you come. There were many Rosie the Riviters. Rosie the Riviter is a name that was given to all of the women who stepped in World War II when our young men enlisted in the services. There just was no one to do the work. We were at war. Many things had to be done. Planes had to be built, ships had to be built, tanks, ammunition, everything. And there was no one to do it. So a plea went out, and the women turned up in full force. They left their farms, the life that they had been accustomed to, being mothers and wives and caretakers. They left all of that behind, and off they went. Sometimes Granny came in to take care of the children that were left. Sometimes the young people had no children, but they came on up anyway. It was just a great time of unity for our country. We've never seen it like that. It was a different way of life. The main concern for most Americans were their concern for the safety of their boys. Everything was for the boys. The civilians gladly sacrificed and gave up the normal things of life in order for the boys to have what they needed. For myself, I wish I could say I had been a Rosie the Riviter. I lived during those times. The job that I had during the war was not as romantic as being a Rosie the Riviter. I worked at a dairy. No, I didn't milk the cows. I could have, but I didn't milk the cows. We made powdered milk for the troops. This is a rivet gun, similar to what was used back there in 1942 and 43, 44, 44, and 45. Now, I could not have done this alone. Inside, I would work on the outside rivets. Inside there would be another lady, another woman who was called a bucker. And she usually was kind of a hefty one, strong, but she had to be small so she could get in all the small crevices of the aircraft. Anyway, this was what was done, but not only did the women do the riveting, but I have a friend who was a lady who worked in the war effort. She came from a farm down in Carolina. She and her sister came up to Norfolk. They rented a room from someone in the area of the air station, and all she knew was farm life. And she came up, and she and her sister got jobs at the air station. And I know one of her jobs at one time in her life, aircraft would come in for repair. All the wiring had to be replaced. And they had great long tables out there with nails completely covering it. They'd go in, get a section of wire from the aircraft, bring it out, wind it between the nails, and they would then take another piece of wire, a new piece of wire, and follow the same pattern, so they would have it exact. Put the fixtures on each end, bring it in, plug it in, get the next piece and come out. So that was her contribution at that time. I read a book about a couple of teachers, grade school teachers, who wanted to do their part. So After the summer, when the summer came along, they decided to go to the air station to get a job. Now they worked the midnight shift. All the factories and plants generally ran continually 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, and they had 3 shifts. So these ladies who wanted to contribute as much as they could came on, and they've told in the book that until that time, ladies had not worn slacks or pants, you know. But crawling around in the aircraft, it was just necessary to do that. They told of how they used to use the public transportation. If they wore the traditional skirts, got on a bus, the gentleman would usually get up and give them their seats. If they got on the bus wearing their slacks, that didn't happen. It's amazing. So anyway, this is the first time that generally that slacks were worn by women. I know on the farm they did sometimes, but generally. So that was the beginning of women's lib. When the women came to work, they got a paycheck. The first time many of them had ever earned any money as such. And so they just kind of liked that, you know, and from there on, women found they were capable of doing many things that they had no idea they could do. And from then on, we blossomed. Well, generally, the Rosies carried a bag called their tool bag, and in it, all things were tools. They had tools that might be needed for repair on the rivet gun. It just depends on what they were doing. They usually carried their lunch in it because they had to eat sometime during the time, and that was generally it. At the end of the war, many of those who were working in the plants went back to their old lifestyle. Many did not. Since this was a time of liberation for women, when they realized that indeed they were capable of doing more than they ever dreamed of, and do it well, that they did go back. From there, some of them stayed with whatever outfit they were working with at the time, and they just blossomed from there on. They did, but during the war, when they were working on the aircraft, they did fabulous work.